Apologies for the fuzzy mug. You'll only see this once. My name is Tyler Cooper with UIT's Faculty of Education Intermediate Senior Program, and today I will be reviewing Making the Grade by Ruth and Albert Dernis. Let's begin. Between the two of them, Ruth and Albert Dernis have 3 degrees, including a BS in Biology and a BSME at CSU Sacramento. Ruth is a paraprofessional for the San Ramon Unified School District and is well accustomed to the inner workings of the education system, having worked alongside children and with them for a number of years. Albert Dernis, meanwhile, is a vice president of Advent Engineering, Division of Professional Education, and a former producer of edutainment software. He has an intimate insight and look into the world of child motivation and what drives students forward, both socially and academically. But enough with the acronyms. The purpose of this article, Making the Grade, is to examine the correlation between self-esteem and the grading system in schools. The Dernises state that grades are the key factor in either raising or lowering a student's self-esteem and self-perception, thus ultimately affecting their motivation later on in their academic endeavors. The Dernises go on to state that teachers have 2 primary methods of grading which lower student self-esteem. That is, grading as behavioral modification tool and not accepting late or incomplete assignments. The article emphasizes the need for teachers to mark students based on their academic understanding of the topic at hand, instead of using grades as a tool in which to judge students' behavior inside or outside the classroom, or granting zeros to students who hand in late or incomplete assignments. Teachers should instead be focused on what their students are learning and how they can transmit that information to them. In addition to a change in the grading system, the Dernises are proponents of providing positive feedback and criticism in a way that promotes student success and student self-esteem. They state that in the liberal arts in particular, criticism can be provided in a criticism sandwich, quote unquote, in which teachers provide their students with a compliment, a criticism, and complete their statement with another compliment, emphasizing the students' strengths and areas where they can grow and expand their learning. Making the Grade closes its arguments by stating that with initiative and forethought, teachers can, no doubt, devise a system that motivates students to complete and turn in the assigned work. Accurate assessment can help cultivate the often fragile self-esteem of the middle school student. Therefore, the Dernises argue that teachers themselves need to change the systems that they likely grew up in, and that they find themselves working in order to best benefit the students and their successes. The Dernises' arguments relate directly back to the ideal situation established in the Growing Success document for Ontario schools. On page 39, under the evaluation section of the document, it states that the teachers will take various considerations into account before making a decision about the grade to be entered on the report card. The teacher will consider that some evidence carries greater weight than other evidence. For example, some performance tasks are richer and reveal more about student skills and knowledge than others. Such examples include tests, exams, and other assignments for evaluation, as well as conversations with students, and evidence collected through observations. Making the Grade then clearly encourages teachers to move towards the guidelines of the Ministry of Education as put forward in the Growing Success document. Instead of strictly using tests and exams to mark student understanding of the topics at hand and the lessons, teachers should be using other forms of observation to better assess their students in a well-rounded manner. The Dernises and the Growing Success document, vis-a-vis the Ministry of Education, are once more in agreement with regards to 0 marks for late or missed assignments. On page 45 of the Growing Success document, it's stated that many parents and students in the Ontario education system believe that 0 marks should be assigned when a student does not submit an assignment on time, under the belief that there should be clear boundaries on student behavior and consequences for not adhering to due dates. The document goes on to state, however, that many experts in the field of assessment and evaluation discourage deducting marks or giving zeros for late and missed assignments. These experts can include the Dernises as well as their colleagues in the field of education research. There's a direct correlation between the arguments made by the Dernises and those upheld by the Ministry of Education, clearly in sync with regards to providing zeros to students and discouraging school boards and teachers from doing so. Now, while it may seem like I'm just agreeing with the Growing Success document as a teacher candidate, I assure you that I am in full support of their ideals as well as those arguments raised by the Dernises with regards to grades being a powerful tool when it comes to motivating students. While teaching in several different classrooms, including a grade 7 classroom, grade 11 history classroom, and grade 12 history as well as English classrooms, I have clearly seen the effects that grades have on student morale and well-being. Students, instead of being encouraged to expand their minds and get creative, have instead become too focused on the grades, particularly those in the senior levels who realize that university or college is awaiting them. That is not to say, however, that grades are wholly unimportant. Rather, that observations can and should be made through other forms of expression, such as drawings, interactive group activities, and one-on-one conversations with students, as I attempted to do at both my placements and in all of my classes. And I won't ever stop observing, marking, and assessing students in that way. I will not be chained down by tests or exams where students start off with 100% and then get deduced for every mistake or wrong turn they may make. I will continue to encourage my students to excel and to strive in areas that interest them, that go beyond the lesson plan, and in ways that may not necessarily be feasible to write down through pen and paper, but are nonetheless observable in their entirety and impact.